Let's again shift gears just a little bit and talk about moving on into the therapy itself. And various ones of you have been through different forms of our treatment process. We do 1 and 2 week intensives as well as 22-week outpatient processes, and sometimes follow some of that up with an occasional session beyond that, but as needed. But how do you think that whatever treatment or whatever form of the treatment that you went through here, how did that support you as a parent? How did that help you in your parenting, both here in understanding your child, but more importantly at home and how to deal with your child?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, halfway through I felt like, wow, this is really for me, and I think more what it did was I really had to lose my conventional ways of thinking about parenting. I had to reorient myself to how to parent this child, and that came with a whole new way to engage my child, a whole new way to discipline my child, a whole new way to just a whole new process for me. And so I think for me, how did it really help? I think it retooled completely my way of thinking about parenting. I think on our rides home, we just said, the ways that we've been parenting will probably work for a normal child, but they will not work for these children. And so we have to do something completely different, and so that was a huge thing for us.
I guess I want to quickly ask, since you said different parenting styles, did we ask you to do anything weird or anything?
No, it wasn't anything weird at all. I mean, I think it was, there were just things that you would think with your child that would naturally pick up my care or my love or my affection for them, or they would naturally, think that I'm, want to nurture them or care for them or provide for them, and sometimes they just aren't receiving those things, and or sometimes my discipline could communicate things to them that they probably don't need at those moments, or they don't need my discipline, but what they need is they need more of me, or things like that. And so I think those things wasn't weird. It was actually a lot easier once we started doing that.
And that's what we've had a conversation too, that while we went down this path because we thought we needed to parent our child different because she's adopted, the past few months, and talking to other friends that have children around the same age as our daughter and hearing what they do and what they say, and it's I'm thinking I think any parent could do what we're doing, and I think it would benefit the child more, because I hear other friends of mine, and I think it doesn't affect their children as negatively because of the fact they're biological, but in all, I think it's just a general parenting. It's not, I think we go down the path because our children are more sensitive to certain things, or more don't react as well, but at the same time, I see other kids who are biological that I feel are a little bit detached from their parents, and through this, I think it mainly gets us to be more in tune with our children and meet their needs, which is really what parenting is about. Mm-hmm. And I think because biological kids appear to be more resilient and can take the negative or certain traditional parenting style better than adopted children, I think in general, I think it's just an approach that most parents should do. And it's because really it's just about meeting their needs and loving them. Mm-hmm. So why would an adopted child need that more than a biological child? How come I can sit there and yell and scream at my biological kid and that's okay? But I think what we're doing for our adopted children really should be done for most children.
I've learned to anticipate her needs more than react to her behavior. Mm-hmm. And like you said, be more in tune to what she's feeling and not just look at her behavior, and you're not just disciplining the behavior and putting her in a timeout and give a consequence. You just stop and look beyond that and what's going on underneath here that I need to address.
Or what's going on in our life.
Yeah.
We've noticed that when she starts having issues, and rather than going, what is wrong with her? We go, what have we done different lately? And we say, well, we've had a lot of guests over, we've been doing a lot of things, and then we just stop and get back into a routine, and all of a sudden she's fine. And I think that goes into being more in tune and not looking at your child of what's wrong, but what's in her life that's stressing her out.
That's funny that you said that, because about any parent could use these techniques with their kids. I think a lot of times after doing all of these things, we're sometimes we'll be at the grocery store or someplace and we'll go, they just really need more. She doesn't need that discipline right now. She probably just needs a little bit more of your attention or your care, and then some nurturing and those kind of things. It's just funny because you find yourself going, well, I I think those things would work for probably anybody. If
Yeah,
you're just trying.
exactly. They need to sit down and hold their child.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, for having a biological child, I suspect you can too. Oh, they love it. No, the first night she said we were acting strange, but after that, you know, she loves the attention and the connectedness, and it really, she responds really well to it. And then the second thing is, I'm like you go around and think, oh, you could use Rick. Oh, you could benefit from it. Rick could help you with that. Like, it's, you know, you find yourself kind of spewing little tidbits of information to your friends who have.
It's almost like empowering now. You feel
It-
like I now look at a lot of families with biological children, and I feel like I have a stronger skill set for parenting than most do, because, you know, and I appreciate more of my daughter now because of what we've been through. And when she goes and plays with, you know, and does certain things, I sit there and just admire and look, where I see a lot of other parents who have their biological kid and they're doing the same thing, and they go, get back over here and start yelling, and it's like, I just appreciate my daughter more, and I'm more in tune with, I think, than the average person. And
I think the key biggest thing was what you guys just shared is just you quit taking it personally. It doesn't have anything really to do with your parenting. You know, it's, you know, he's not reacting because of the way you're parenting. He's reacting because of the, you know, his past history, and so just removing yourself emotionally from the situation and taking care of it rather than, you know, you getting mad and then, you know, that whole exchange. It's just been, like you said, empowering. It's just
well, it becomes like
Made
unconditional
life a lot.
love, you know, and that's what they need. And when you start taking it personal, it's, some people, I think, you start, and including myself, you kind of, well, fine, then if you don't want me, I don't want you, know, and they feed off that. And I've noticed the times that my daughter is, you know, when I'm more stressed or I'm kind of like on edge about what to do with her, she reacts the same way. And the times that I just set free and love her no matter what goes on, she just relaxes more, and it's just, it feels empowering now. I feel like, you know, going from I don't know what to do to feeling, and it's, you know, some things still kind of like, so.
I can remember when you first shared with me that it's my mantra now. When the neediness increase the nurturing. And at first that seemed so counterintuitive. Like, well, I want her to, you know, brush her own teeth in the morning and get ready for school, and so I can do other things that I need to do. But it's so amazing, you know, how well that works, and
A lot of Rick as an assistant.
Yes.
That you always fall back.
it seems counterintuitive at first, but it really works. And I've shared that with so many people who you can just almost see a light bulb, you know, oh, well. And it kind of, like you said, empowers you too, because other parents who are parenting adopted kids or kids with these issues look at your parenting sometimes as, boy, you're really spoiling them.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up, you know, for trouble in the future when they don't really understand what you're doing. No, is you're doing the opposite. You're empowering that child for the future.
I'm actually like, now really proud of our daughter when we go places, just how, I don't want to say well behaved she is, but just, you look at other kids and they just get out of control and the parents yell at them, and Zoe's just, our daughter's just so, you know, when we see her going down a path, we just kind of correct and redirect, and she just seems more relaxed. And, you know, even if she hasn't had a nap and it's late at night, you know, she doesn't throw fits, she just, you know, she gets a little bit, but just the way we, I think, deal with her and parent her is just.
It started to feel more natural now.
Yeah.
I think a couple of terms in my head when you first asked the question, because I think I grew up having parents model authoritarian. Is that the right word? Authoritarian. And I feel like going through therapy, as well as talking with other parents going through therapy, really moved to more of a one that's a relationship, but two that it's more authoritative, and it's not as. I think the authoritarian took out the relationship. The relationship wasn't there growing up, but then also authoritative was just more of the, I can't think of the
More of
word.
a balance.
A balance between being completely absent from their life and not providing any structure or boundaries or input. But I think too, the relationship side just made just made a lot of sense thinking about those two terms, and that modeling and using that model instead of the model of the authoritarian.
Are there some other parent things that you feel like you gained from this approach?
Just, it was, you know, we have this joke in our house that women use so many more words a day than men, and just learning that my actions and just by guiding him, behind his back as we go to brush our teeth, or by picking him up and using those more acting in the way we want things to go, rather than just talking his ear off, where I imagine he just hears blah, 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 has been enlightening to me with both my children, as well as just empowering. It makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I couldn't figure that out myself.
In regards to that, he pointed out in one session that by discussing it with him gives the child more of a feeling that they can be part of that decision and engaging, and
Yeah.
it becomes more of an, like, well, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And you realize, and we would ask our daughter questions a lot, like, do you want to do this? You want to go do that? And it just became part of it because we thought that's how we would bond and take her opinion in consideration. But we realized, it's not about what she wants. We just guide her.
I think, before you hop in there, I think one of the things too that, the whole thing about using presence and, less words and some of those things, I think it really enabled me to be able to enjoy my child more and love my child more, because it, it really kind of took the debate out of it for me. It was like, I'm just going to, I'm going to ask you to do it, and I'm going to use my actions and presence to, move you through it, and I think that was really helpful, because then it was like, I can engage with him in the process, and we really don't have to have a conversation or an argument about how we're going to do this or what we're going to be doing. It's just, I'm going to ask you to do it, and we're going to do it, and in the process I can enjoy you along the way, and we can have fun, and I think it really enabled me, at least, to really love my kids in the process, as opposed to, I'm going to spend 15 minutes battling about this or that, and we're going to have an argument.
My favorite part of stopping the discussion was, thanks for letting me know how you feel.
That's
When we learned that term, it was just like, it started working. It's like, oh, wow. She would start debating with us, and then she kept telling us what she wanted. Like, thanks for letting me know how you feel. And then that's all I would say anymore. There'd be no more discussion. And she quickly learned that once I said that, then it was over. And it was just weird how, and it got to the point where sometimes when I said that, there would be no more discussion at all, and they would move on. And
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Well, before I felt like I kept explaining it to her and talking, and which, thanks for letting me know how you feel. And I was just like, as you can almost see, you're just like, move on.
If we would try to vary it, we'd say, thanks for letting us know, and our son would say, how you feel? Okay, thanks for letting us know how you feel. Just add it in. Because we tried to change it up.
One thing that I dealt with through this is I felt as a parent I had a right to expect my children to do what I told them to do. It's a parent's right to tell your kid to put your clothes on and expect to find them with clothes. Giving up my right to expect obedience and enter into a position where I'm reaching out to meet their needs instead is a major shift. Little hard to make that move, but so invaluable to let go of my right. It kind of goes back to the fact that it's not my problem that they don't want to get dressed. I don't need to get all worked up about it. I can let go of my expectations that I'll speak and you'll obey me. I'm going to help you through this instead.
So it's not about our control either. It's about meeting their needs and helping them desire to please, which results in the need, or developing the idea of being a successful child in their life, in their own right.
And it's like, stepping back to see why are they not putting their clothes on? What's the real issue here? It's not like they don't want to get dressed. There's something they're defiant about, and there's a reason. But it seems like a lot more of a holistic approach to stepping back and looking at the big picture of what's probably going on right now.
When you have to be out of the house in 15 minutes, it's a little hard to do that every
Right.
time, but it makes such a huge difference just to let go of my right to be the parent and be the nurturer instead.
And I think we try to make things more complex than they need to be. Like, how many times do you come in and ask to a parent-coach session and start telling about the problem, and it's just like, well, don't do it, or do this. There's like a real simple answer to it, and you're like, well, yeah. It's like sometimes you made things look too simple.
Yeah.
It's like we get home, and it's like, you almost like you get home, some days you feel like it's, you really got it, and other days it's like, well, what do we do? And then we'll ask in the next session. We already knew the answer, really. It's just like you kept repeating the same thing over, and it took a long time for us to finally get that.
think what you said is really good too, because I think I struggle with that too. It's kind of like, kind of the law around here, if I'm saying you should really be doing it, or whatever. And I think what was really helpful for me was to realize, number one, my kids aren't doing these things probably intentionally. Most of the time it's probably because there's some deeper heart issues going on, and to be able to come alongside them and help them, because really they are struggling in these things. They really do need more than just my discipline. They need, me to come along and help them in ways that are going to really be meaningful to them, And so I think that's good. I mean, it really is a big mind shift between, we got to be in the car in 5 minutes, you need to get yourself dressed, and we need to do these things, as opposed to, okay, like, I can either have it my way, by force, but that really is at the harm of my, connecting and meeting my child where they really need to be met,